I'm pretty sure she thought you could just push a button and the car would change color. So another story from the annals of film cars is we'd always get calls for very specific vehicles. Again, for editorial, for magazine and film shoot, they're really looking for a prop. And we were doing one for, I think it was Maybelline. And we had a database of about 5,000 cars, a lot of them privately owned. And that way we could have, if you needed a pink this or a red that, they could just search by color. Because a lot of these people had no idea about cars. It's like, we want something that feels feminine, yet strong, and something that's green, but maybe pink. And they'd be all over the shop, and we'd spend weeks kind of narrowing it down to a car, and they didn't care what brand or whatever it was. It had to be a look or feel. So we were working with them, and we finally came to black Porsche 356. And it was an unrestored car. It was beautiful. But it took down literally to the day before for them to decide what car it was. Like, okay, we got it. And then we hustle off to Connecticut, I think, to pick it up and bring it into New York City, which, if you don't live in the New York area, is a very big deal. Like, it's only a matter of maybe 20 miles, but that might take you 3 or 4 hours to do on the East Coast. We get the car in, we have to bring it into the studio. There's a few studios that they shoot cars in New York where they're upstairs, and you have to put them in these huge elevators. And it becomes an ordeal because then you're pulling them through these hallways, and these buildings were never constructed to move cars through. So we get thankfully it was a little car, and we get it through, and we spend an hour getting it into place. And they get everything set up, and the cameras are ready, and just these little beautiful moments. So the representative, the VP from Maybelline, walks over, and she looks at what the shoot's going to be, and she's talking to the photographer, and she's really pleasant, and she's like, "Oh yeah, well that's nice." And they have like 4 or 5 different setups in the one studio for that they shoot simultaneously, and the car's in the corner for one of the setups. And again, we've been working on this for weeks. And she walks over and she goes, "Oh, that's really nice." And we're like, "Yes, thank you. She goes, "This can be red." And we're like, "What?" "This can be red." "What can be red?" The car. The car can be red." "Yes, it could be red. If it were painted red, that car could be red." But in her mind, I'm pretty sure she thought you could just push a button and the car would change color or something. And she was like, no, this car can be red. And I'm thinking, are you saying this should be red or can be red? I'm like, what are you saying? She's like, "No, this can be red." And I'm like, "Do you want us to get a different car?" And she's all, "No, okay, this can be red." "Yes, it can." And we just stood there nodding at each other for about 30 seconds. And there was a complete disconnect. And the photographer comes over to translate. And he's like, "Should we get another? We need to get a different car." She's like, yes, we need to get a different car. I'm like, right now?" She's like, "This can be red." And she said it again. I'm like, I'm going to lose my mind. "Okay, you want us to remove the car?" She's like, yes. This can be red. I'm going to kill you, really, in about a minute. And that was it. She didn't want to shoot with it at all. She wanted us to take the car out of the studio, which we did, and we got paid for. We always get paid up front because of things like this. And they thought we could just go out on the street or to a warehouse or something and pull another red Porsche 356 out of it and bring it in 15 minutes. That's not how it works. That's not real life. But they don't live in real life. These people do not live in real life, especially when it comes to cars. Most of them don't even have driver's licenses in New York. So I was like, yes, this can be red. And out the door we went. She really represented the kind of New York elite that is completely disconnected from anything. She probably has a doorman. She probably never driven a day in her life. She probably went to some upper class art school and has been going to the Met Gala every year. and never bought a gallon of milk or had to prepare a meal, right? So like to her, you just ask for things and things appear and things happen. And who knows, she's probably never been out in New York. Maybe she's been to Paris and New York and London. It's mind-boggling. And it's even more mind-boggling when you do it for almost a decade and you meet these people almost daily. And you're like, there's not one of them. There are dozens of people. There are hundreds of people like this. There are maybe thousands of people like this. And as a car guy, as part of car culture, it hurts. She didn't know what the brand was or what the car was or what the era was and didn't care, and it didn't matter. It was a prop. It was supposed to match some lipstick, I found later, that's what it was about. I'm like, if you wanted us to match some lipstick, why'd you pick a black car? I really got frustrated by this whole experience. And I was like, so I actually called the client afterwards. And they thought that the product against a black car would pop, where it turns out they wanted to match the product. Everything had to be, this can be red. And I'm like, you should really name a lipstick, this can be red, and have it be black. That'll be the real kicker. Well, I mean, that is kind of, I guess, the crux of the story, is that we love cars. We love everything about them, the shape, the history, the manufacturer, the races they won, or just the shape that they have. Or there's so many things as a car guy you can fall in love with a car, and everybody falls in different love with different things. And it's mind-boggling when you run into people that have no connection to that they're completely aesthetic props. And it's almost a short circuit for a car guy, because you're like, oh, do you like a Porsche? And then they respond, what's a Porsche? And you're like, okay. Do you like, this particular shape? Yes, because it looks like a rock. Like you're like, all right, okay. Or like, it matches my handbag. Like, that makes sense. As a car guy, you invest so much of your love and emotion and passion into this inanimate object, and then when it's treated for what it is, which is an inanimate object, you get kind of pissed. Like, it's like, no, my heart and love is in this piece of metal. And they're like, that's just a piece of metal, and it doesn't match my handbag. As as a lifelong car geek and car guy, you have to come to terms with the majority of people really don't care. Like, they don't care what that is or how it did or what it was. And as a film car guy, you have to come to terms with that with all your clients who, they're looking for something that matches something, or has the right color, or has the right shape. Like the curve of the fender matches the curve of her butt, and we're going to put her butt against the fender. And you're like, that sounds fine to me. If you actually go through a magazine or you go through advertising online, things like that, you'll see lots and lots of cars. And you won't even notice them a lot of the time. But their decision to use cars is a lot colder than like, oh, I like the car. They know that people react to cars. There's studies that when you make an ad, if you put a human being's face in it, people react to it a certain way and they feel connected to it. Like, you see all these kind of horrible little ads on the internet where there's a guy going, it's all stock photos of an old man doing this, and then they say, like, get a home loan or something below it, because they know they connect with it. And it's the same thing with the car. They know that people connect emotionally with cars. And a lot of the time, that's the reason they put them in. They want to use that car to create an emotion that will sell a product. And that's the purpose for it. Not because it's a cool car or because of whatever it is. It's because it's a means to an end. They know that if they put in a brand new Porsche GT3, that means luxurious and adventurous and fast and things like that. And that's going to build that kind of emotion. And they put the model on it, and you don't see half the car, but you got a wing or a spoiler there going on. Or if you are, Ralph Lauren, you get an old Jeep Wagoneer and you put a family in the back, and there's a picnic, and you got a little bit of the wood paneling and some stuff in the back, and it gives you kind of a upper class, we're going out for a picnic on Long Island kind of a feel, and that sells that product. The car is always there to kind of create the atmosphere. And most of the time, it's not about the car. It's about the feeling.
This month's car stories are sponsored by The Ridge. The Ridge makes a line of wallets and bags that are designed to be minimalist and help us just take with us the things we actually need. So check out the link in the description below for a discount and buy one for yourself, or they make great Christmas presents. And be sure to let them know how thankful you are for their support of VINwiki.